Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk More Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast where we normally review pay-per-views, but this one happens to be the biggest pay-per-view of the year. And it is
the grandest stage of them all.
grandest stage of them all. You got to love saying it. You just got to love saying it. WrestleMania 31 was last night, or the early hours of the morning, as it was for myself and Matt. And very first. Oh, first of all, Matt, how you doing? How you doing?
Tired,
yeah. I think that's
definitely going to be asleep soon.
Yeah.
Well, especially we're within the 24-hour mark of it even kicking off. So
yeah. Now I know, I said on the podcast that we did just before this one, and just a little bit of a mention here for people that haven't listened to our pay-per-view reviews. We take them a lot more lax than we do the regular episodes. So that's why we're being mellow, and we need to. God damn it! But I know I said
especially if we sit up for it.
Yeah, Jesus. One of the things I said on there is that I wouldn't be watching the show all the way through. And that was the intention, and then as the time go on, I was like, I'll watch it. I'll be okay with 3 hours.
I've watched enough of it now to just go sod it, and all of it will do.
And the show was good enough to keep me hooked onto it, to keep me going. So
that's true.
It was.
I was watching it. I was watching it with a friend, and he managed to make it all the way through until about halfway the main event. So he did pretty good.
Well, for him anyway. I think I know who you're talking about. So
no.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So, yeah, this is our review of WrestleMania 31, and like I said, I do apologise, we are monumentally tired. Matt is waiting for the end of this episode to actually go to sleep, and I may not be that much different.
That may be the plan, yeah.
Maybe the plan. So, yeah, WrestleMania 31. It was a packed Levi Stadium in San Francisco, the Bay Area. Lovely looking stadium. We'll talk about the set and everything first before we actually get into the actual show. Yeah, the stadium looked lovely. One of the cool things I thought about the aesthetic of the show is that obviously, because it was on that particular side of the US, that the majority of the show was in daylight, in the baking sun, as it were. And
it's like I saw a backstage one with Orton. It's just like it's hot as hell.
One thing I was thinking of, because the guys were sweating pretty badly out there, I was like, Jesus, if it's still sunny by the time Lesnar comes out, then he's going to flood the stadium with the amount of sweat he's going to pour out. Jesus. But, lovely looking stadium, as you should know. I know on the pre-show they had issues because it was so windy up where they put the stuff that they couldn't even keep hold of their notes. Renee Young's hair was going all over the place.
I think she did really good though. She sort of maintained her calm and sort of quite happily had a joke about it, just referring to herself as like a hot mess.
Yes, well, she is definitely a hot mess. After our mentions on the on episode 68, yeah. But Lana's come back now. But we'll get into that later on, obviously. But what do you think of the set? I thought the set was pretty good. Not as good as last year, but still pretty good.
I think it's still the size of it. I just couldn't it was that looks pretty big, and they're in a big stadium. What was it? They had 79,976.
Close to 77.
Yeah, but it was just sort of that's a really big fucking place. And then it's just when the Usos came out for the tag match at the beginning, I was like, that stage is fucking huge.
Yeah. It is.
There's the Usos, these tiny little specks on this massive...
I feel bad for the people that paid like good money to be on the tickets at the very highest. I mean, come on, you're not going to see anything. You may as well watch it at home, really.
That's it.
But yeah, wonderful stay. And the like I said, the set wasn't as good as last year because I thought last year was fantastic. I don't think they'll beat that set for a long time. But it was a good set and it worked and it was fine. It was grand. It was of the occasion. It was okay. Some people may say, maybe it was a little bit too simplistic. I thought it was okay.
I just think it was good. I think it served its purpose.
Yeah.
It didn't look. It wasn't. It was still that's really impressive. But then it was just. But it still wasn't meh.
Yeah. No, it was all right. I was happy with it. I didn't.
Yeah. I
underwhelmed. As I said,
I'd have happily walked out from it.
Yes, of course. Yeah. To be honest. But one of the things I like I said I liked about this Mania is that, like I said, the majority of it was done during the daylight, and it had a very different feel to this WrestleMania than the majority of WrestleManias.
Yeah.
And even though you had like some of the entrances like the Undertaker and Sting, which you think should be best done in darkness, it was still fine. The occasion was grand, and I think that made up for all that, so it was okay. So let's get into the actual pre-show. I watched 2 hours of the pre-show. The first hour was absolutely god-awful boring because it's just their hook to get everyone into...
It's just like, if you're not already watching it on the network, which you probably already are, you should buy the network.
I think the first...
Video package, network.
The first hour aired on YouTube. So they...
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it did, yeah. So
okay.
That was trying to hook people in. The second hour was exclusive, and that contained the 2 matches.
Yeah, I knew it would be that sort of layout. It's not like going to go match, chatting, match.
The best part of the first hour of the pre-show was Patterson and Briscoe with
facing off with J&J.
Yeah, J&J Security. That was cool, but that was the best part of it. Really not useful. So we'll talk about the 2 matches in the second hour of the pre-show. And what was there? To open up the pre-show was the 4-way tag team match. Tag team match for the belts, of course. I know the one team that we forgot that was in this team when we did
New Day. I know. Yeah. It's just we were just like, and then some other guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Not that I had
the not so Blue Day.
Yeah, they didn't have any chance of winning anyway. Was it? They were lime green and grey, wasn't it? That was their attire. Yeah, well, I tell you what, this was a good starter match. The only thing is that obviously at this point of the show, fans are still getting into their seats, so you didn't really get the response really that you'd hope. But it was still good. It got the fans that were there into it at very least, and there were a lot of them packed in at ringside, so it was at least it was good there. The one thing I disliked about this match, and I guess some people may say, well, it actually is what made the story of the match. I dislike it because it was at times just too confusing.
It was chaotic.
It was a clusterfuck. That was the main.
It screamed clusterfuck. Yeah,
it did unfortunately. And I'm all for things going crazy, but got to maintain some sort of semblance. There was a point I didn't know who was legal, and there was no way that the referee could know what was going on was legal. So at the end of the finish was like, was that guy really legal? And it's all this little stuff. But
why is Cesaro if Jay was legal? Why is Cesaro tagging? Pinning. Oh, because he made the tag out of nowhere. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. It was just a bit all over the place. Which for getting the crowds into it, that the home crowd. I mean, this match wasn't really for us because it was on the pre-show. I think it was more for the home crowd. Get them big into the show from the get-go. For when the actual show officially starts, and they did that because it was spot heavy.
Oh God, yeah.
Bunch of spots that they did all over the ring. But in the end of the match, Cesaro and Kid do get the win. That was 1-1 for me, Matt, in terms of predictions. Matt knows where I'm going with this, by the way.
Yeah, I
know. So yeah, I thought it was a good match for what it was. Definitely not enough to be on the main card, shall we say?
Yeah.
So that's all right.
Well, I think if it was going to be on the main card, it would have gone very differently.
I don't think they would have gone down the route that they did on it, but that's bad.
Yeah, well, it served its purpose. I'm not really going to complain about it.
It was good stuff.
I still enjoyed it, but I was still just like, I have no idea what's going on now. I'm just watching people hit each other.
Yeah. It was a good start, and it was there to serve its purpose. That's okay. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Now, we talk about clusterfucks. Jesus, this one was a bit of one as well. Axelmania ended up just pretty much getting eliminated.
No, I loved it. I loved the Axelmania moment. You wait! Duh! Fuck off.
Yeah, so at least he got to rip his shirt. There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
This was the moment as well that Mizdow finally did the split from Miz, which is what we've been waiting for ages. The moment itself, it was glorious. It was okay, but especially with what to follow, it just felt like we're doing this.
Just like a bah.
Yeah.
I think he did really good though, because Like, I really enjoyed it because there was that lot of don't you do it, don't you dare. And there's just sort of like that umming and ahhing, will he, won't he?
He was poking him really fucking hard, wasn't he?
That's proper. Like, Jesus. Sandow's like going to come out on Raw and he's going to have like 3 or 4 like proper bruises on his chest.
Yeah, just when
Like,
he's
bang!
bony Miz
Bang!
fingers, yeah.
Fingers of steel.
Yeah. It was a good moment though that he did, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole
It
throw
was lovely.
everything. And the one
And
thing I thought was weird about it, I don't know if you realise this as well. I mean, the actual part of them arguing and Mizdow finally turning his back on the Miz and throwing him out of the ring. Big Show was the other guy in the ring, and this went on for about a good 5 minutes. This stuff
the
between
Big
Miz
Show
and
was just
Mizdow.
sat in the corner,
Yeah,
just stood in the corner watching.
and there was times where Mizdow was completely 100% enthused on what's going on with Miz. That you'd think it'd be quite easy just to flomp. There you go,
Big Show could
win.
have literally just gone, hello, bye
Yeah,
bye.
now you've gone, yeah. But as we were to know, although a valiant effort by Mizdow, Big Show does pick up the win. That does get one negative mark on both mine and Matt's predictions. You predicted Ryback, I did predict Mizdow. At least I was a little bit closer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just like, what? I was like, no, something went wrong. Surely something went wrong.
Well, you know what? Like, it's quite funny, right? Because Big Show's won this battle royal. The amount of Royal Rumbles and battle royals he's been in and not won. I mean, come on. He was. It was kind of like they kind of like fair enough. Like he should have won at least one now due to his size. Jesus, the amount
Yeah,
of times you put him over, he's the favorite. He's the favorite to win. He's been
because
in
he's
fucking
a
tons of them.
giant.
Yeah, and he always gets eliminated. But now, obviously, that comparison of him being, the next Andre the Giant, he can probably play that up the next couple of weeks with that. What's quite funny though? He struggled to pick up that trophy, and Cesaro had absolutely no problems lifting that up. The week before.
I still agree with everyone who turns around and says like, pound per pound, Cesaro is the strongest.
If they could bottle up what Cesaro has, I would drink it. Yeah, it's
It's called
pretty.
power,
Yeah, and that's not sexual by any means.
sheer power.
Power from the Swiss lands. That's it. But yeah, it was. Yeah, fair enough. Big Show winning it. He has to at least win one, I guess, because it was just getting a little bit ridiculous. It was ridiculous years ago, but even more so now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the pre-show.
I was
Fair
really
enough.
shocked to see some of the people in there. I didn't really like
Bo
what was
Dallas with his beard was in there.
But I thought do you know what? I thought it was Neville for a start. I was like, there's a guy in white with a ponytail. Oh, it's Bo Dallas.
Oh,
That's really
okay.
disappointing.
Yeah.
What was it? It was what's his fucking Adam Rose in
Oh,
like
yeah.
what looked like the Beetlejuice get up.
Oh, yeah, that was quite
I was
odd.
just like,
Yeah.
but I was like really confused. It's like, and we're gonna have one NXT guy, and Alex Riley's in it.
Yeah, Alex Riley was there. He's
I was like,
NXT as well.
Alex
Yeah.
Riley's there. It's like we're gonna have one NXT guy, and it's
He
gonna be
lasted.
Hideo Itami.
He
Oh, you have
lasted
Alex
longer.
Riley?
He lasted longer than Atami, didn't he, Riley? Didn't he? I'm pretty sure he did.
No, I don't think he did.
Maybe that's them trying to make nice with him, considering that he desperately wanted that Royal Rumble thing. I would argue why you would try and placate Alex Riley, but there we are. But even though I've said positive things about Riley recently, it's just like it's Alex Riley. I like what he is at the moment, but come on, he's not a big star. You don't have to placate him.
Oh, that's it.
But there we are. Let's get into the actual show. The actual show when it started up. This is the start of the 4-hour show. And
Oh, do you know what? We haven't even really mentioned the fact that Itami was even in it.
well, he wasn't
just-
really that much featured, really, was he?
Yeah, I've seen a great meme which was him staring at Big Show, and it's just like, oh my god, Godzilla.
That's incredibly
It's like,
racist.
that's
Matt.
a little bit racist,
Yeah.
but I love it.
Yeah, like he was the one thing that I thought that any NXT guy getting in there, he wasn't going to be featured. And that's
Yeah.
he wasn't going to be left towards the end. I thought that maybe Sheamus might be a surprise entrant and he might end up winning it or something.
Yeah,
like
I'm
that.
still like this is one thing I'm finding really bizarre is the fact we've had all these video packages like Sheamus is coming soon. It's Mania. Still no Sheamus.
Well, he's gonna debut the Raw after Mania, right? And the funny thing is, so he's gonna debut tonight, right? For us, obviously this gets released the day after for all you guys, but like he's gonna get booed to shit.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna get like that crowd doesn't like him. At the end of the day, most crowds don't like Sheamus because he's boring. That's the criminal sin, isn't it, in wrestling? When you're boring, people just don't want to see you.
Just bland.
You know what? If I'm going to choose an Irish wrestler, then I think people know which one I'm going to choose at the moment.
Yeah.
So. Intercontinental title ladder match, 7-man. Now, we said beforehand that people would have their bump card stamped, and Jesus, they definitely did. I think no one.
Yeah.
I think probably the one who got these bump cards stamped the most was Dean Ambrose by being power bombed into a ladder from the ring to the outside.
I just fold.
Yeah.
Not even just. Oh.
And
it was filthy, wasn't it?
It was pretty filthy. Yeah, it was pretty. It was good though. Like I had my wife watching, and she doesn't watch that much wrestling, and she was just like, "Oh my god, like is he okay?" And I was like, "That's what they're going for, you know. They want to make you like, oh my fucking god, what happened there?" And they got that point. Barrett also going on a bit of a using the
bull hammer spree.
Yeah, just doing it on everyone, just knocking everyone out, which was cool.
One
person who didn't really have a moment to himself here was Dolph Ziggler, which was quite ironic.
Yeah, we're talking about Dolph Ziggler, the man who can climb a ladder in a second flat.
Yeah, come on, that was like he was like the funny thing about that.
What?
The funny thing about that is like about a minute before then, he's like struggling like with every ounce of his being just to get up one rung of this ladder,
or just to like even stand up, like get off the mat. But it's like, wait, someone's at the top. No!
So it's like he just speeds up there at the speed of light. There's just a silhouette of where he was on the outside, you know.
Yeah, like that cloud outline.
Yeah. But yeah, the match ends with both our predictions being correct. Daniel Bryan winning it after a headbutting spot, where basically him and Ziggler are just headbutting each other. Daniel Bryan obviously has a bit of a harder noggin, knocks Ziggler off, takes the title, and the fans are obviously very pleased by that.
Yeah.
This completes Daniel Bryan's Grand Slam. He has won every single championship that is available to him in his career in WWE. The Tag Team Championships, the Intercontinental Championship, the US title, and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, that's all of it. Yeah, he's won them all. So, except for the Divas, but, you know, we won't be seeing Daniela Bryan anytime soon. At least I hope not. So, good for him.
Miss Wrestlemania.
Miss Wrestlemania. And hopefully Daniel Bryan can usher in a era of fantastic wrestling matches being for the Intercontinental Championship. Because one thing Daniel Bryan can do is he can have a great match with anyone. So hopefully, you know, the IC belt finally gets back to its reputation of being a belt that was there for phenomenal wrestling matches. You'd have matches that everyone wanted to see as the WWE World Title matches, but the better wrestling matches, 9 times out of 10, back in those days, were the IC title matches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I loved the video package sort of like explaining like the whole history of the IC belt, and I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Was just like how, you know, going back to when Warrior beat Hogan, and it's like the IC champion beat the WWE champion.
Yeah. Yeah, it was at that point the IC champion was felt as if he was good competition for the world title.
That's it.
Now, I'm not getting too excited because me and Matt have said this for the better part of about 5 years. We hope they do this to the IC title and it never gets to that point, but we hope, you know, it feels a little bit better, you know, being in Bryan's hands, and he was the obvious pick because he is the most prestigious guy.
But he didn't get his own ladder, so let's just...
Oh yeah, Stardust's most spectacular ladder, fabulous ladder.
Fabulous ladder.
That, you know, Barrett ended up using as a fucking club to beat the shit out of anyone that came close. But, hey, he's never looked so fabulous doing it, so that's the most important thing.
It glitters. It's just the fact that it's like, someone bumped on it or when they threw it on the floor and it just went... exploded with a burst of, like, rhinestone and glitter. Just like, oh, God.
It was never meant to be used, was it, really? Yeah. It was just there for show.
Well, how easily Wade broke it.
Yeah, he just like stomped it once and it just came free.
Like,
so.
Oh, all right.
Oh yeah, and it's good. It's good for Barrett now because now I don't have to keep accidentally pinning him in the middle of shows, so that's always a good thing. But who knows? Maybe Daniel Bryan will start losing tons of televised matches. And
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Bryan will be able to keep an eye on it, and like he won't lose it.
Well, I don't know. It's come on.
No,
it's
I think losing it. I'm referring to losing it as in like we're no longer gonna have this. Oh no, here comes our truth. Oh, that sneaky villain.
No, I
turns up next on Raw like dressed as like the Hamburglar.
Just, you know, doing the Pink Panther theme tune as he's going around. Yeah. No, I'm done with that. I don't. We're giving people ideas now. Yeah, so I don't want any part of that shit. Honestly. Let's move forward from that before someone does get an idea and suddenly we start seeing that on Raw. And I have to kill you, Matt. That's what I'll have to do. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. Now, the common theme of this show is that there wasn't one particular match that stole the show, but there was a lot of very good matches on it,
Yeah,
which is how I like my pay-per-views, to be honest. That way, it's good all the way through. So this is another one. It goes up on the Lions list. Another good match. It is. I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking, but it was good. It was entertaining, worth watching. Somewhat WrestleMania worthy, if for the finish at very least. Orton, basically, is quite a good match they have. Orton then pulls off an RKO from lifting up Seth Rollins while he's going for a curb stomp into the air with his head, and then RKOing him on the
yeah,
way
just
down.
sort of flicking him away.
Yeah.
Just nope.
It was beautiful, and it was one of, come on, how many times can you do different RKOs? It's just working out so well for him.
Yeah.
But
I think he started to run a bit short on his like what can he RKO now? But
he seems to be coming up with new ideas every now and then. Jesus.
yeah,
But yeah, it's good stuff here. And also there was one bit here where he RKO'd like Mercury. It was quite one funny part where he RKO'd Mercury after Mercury jumped off the top rope. And the way Mercury sold it to try and get out of the way, I thought was just hilarious because he just like rigid his body and fell to the side and rolled out.
died in
Yeah.
it. Just like, eh.
So it was the sell of WrestleMania goes to Mercury, Joe Mercury. But yeah, good stuff. And obviously with that RKO, Seth Rollins ain't kicking out. Randy Orton gets the win after basically almost salivating and having an orgasm over how good that was. And fair
Yeah.
enough. As we said before, though, it wasn't going to be a bad night for Seth Rollins, and well, we were right with that. We'll talk about that later on.
Not yet.
Not yet. But yeah, good match, and it features fun. And you know what? Considering what happens later on, it puts Orton in good stead for main eventing things in the future. But obviously we'll talk about
Yeah.
that.
It's getting back in the main event.
Yeah. Obviously as a babyface now. Sting versus Triple H. So here we go. The big entrances begin now. Let's talk about the big entrances before we talk of the match. I thought Sting's was not very good at all.
I wasn't sold on it.
Yes. I didn't see any sort of connection between him and what was going on with like
It's like they were
Japanese
like some
band.
like yeah, but it wasn't even like the classical strings that they had for his video package.
If they had done that video package and actually had a string quartet doing it, that would have been amazing.
Yeah,
That would
but
have been
instead
awesome.
we had like a bunch of people, like one guy who wasn't even there for the face paint.
Yeah, yeah. It was odd. I don't know what. I didn't like it. It didn't seem to really make any sort of reference. No, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And it didn't seem thematic to me. It didn't build up his entrance music or anything
Yeah.
like that. So, no, I wasn't a big fan of his entrance, which is a shame. However, Triple H went all Terminator on us with the help of Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course. Even Arnie seem to be such good mates. Triple H gets
They're tight, aren't
inducted,
they?
gets inducted into Arnie's Hall of Fame. Then Arnie gets inducted into Triple H, the WWE Hall of Fame, and suddenly Triple H is Terminator for a night.
That's it.
Um,
And Arnie's in the video package.
Yeah. Some people I've heard say, "Oh, it was a bit tacky," and no, I thought this was awesome. I thought it was good.
I liked it, but I think I was like, WrestleMania 30 was so much better.
Yeah, I think 30 was good because I think it was more truer to Triple H, but you couldn't do that 2 years in a row. So I applaud for them at least trying to do something.
Oh yeah,
And they had all the models up. They had some actors come out with everything, and the different headpiece that he had, and the metallic skulls that he wristed up. It was
Yeah.
thematic at the very least. So much more thematic than Sting.
Oh, if there's one thing that Triple H does, even if like I think last year was better, it's not to say that this was a half-assed entrance.
Yeah. Do you know one thing? I just want to interrupt before we carry on. It's funny. I was really, really tired before I started this podcast, and we started chatting. I know my body's like basically like kicking in and going, nope, you're not going to be tired while you do it. Just get really into it. I'm like, yeah.
But you enjoyed it, don't forget.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the match. I think that Sting showed, at very least, in the early aspects of this match, that he's, like I said earlier, this is months ago now, that he's got at very least one more match left in him, which was obviously this match.
Yeah.
He could bump every now and then. He obviously wasn't in great shape, but come on, guys, he's his age. Come on, let's get realistic. But he did good, and I think he definitely showed that he could take a hit or two. His moves were still okay. He did a very ugly looking sharpshooter, but I think everyone, or Scorpion Deathlock,
Yeah, I was looking at it, I was like, what the hell is that?
yeah, and you could tell that he was kind of like giving out towards the end of it anyway.
Yeah.
What happened, but. Like I said, I had expected this. It isn't too much. But he, at the early stages of this match, he looked good. Throughout the match, he looked okay. There was some parts where, He obviously looked like he was gassed, but you would, like I said, you would expect it. But one thing I did like about it is that he came in with full wrestling gear, no shirt covering. He came in with his ordinary wrestling gear. He put that same
Yeah.
stuff on him back in his days in Starrcade, WCW. He wouldn't have looked out of place. So he went all out here. And one of the things that I disliked about when Bret Hart came back, and wow, I'm going to say something bad about Bret Hart. Are you ready? Right?
Mm.
Is that Brett pretty much totally distanced himself from anything that he was before he came into WWE. Sting
Yeah.
embraced it, and at least he tried. And you know what? He pulled it off. I think he looked all right. I think he really looked okay. I,
Yeah.
to me, it looked as if he had done a little bit of the gold dust stuff, which he dropped a bit of weight, was a bit more nimble, and it worked out for him at least.
Yeah.
Now, obviously Triple H looked good. You know, you would expect that by now. Um, so in the middle of this match, after a good back and forth, you know, good start to this match, DX come out as it looks like Sting's about to get the foothold on the match, and they come in trying to distract him. And who do you think comes to his aid? It
I've
is.
got it stuck. I've had their music stuck in my head for almost from a great portion of the day.
Are you ready? It's
Bang,
the new world order. You love it. There's a few entrance musics that make you feel like like a smooth badass when you come in. That's one of them. You know, that's cool. But yeah, it leads to a standoff here. I actually was quite shocked that you got the likes of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall bumping, even Hogan doing
Yeah,
falling a
Hogan
little
did a
bit.
bump. I was just like, oh.
Nash obviously very funny when he landed, gripped his quad. Thank you, Nash. Thank you very much. I did like that little touch. Except if you actually have torn your quad, in which case I feel very sorry for you, but obviously you haven't. But yeah, it was cool to see these guys battling with each other. The fans were going fucking ballistic. They fucking loved it at this point, and so did
I
I.
loved it.
Yeah,
I
it was a
like,
good moment.
ah!
Like at this point in the match,
Like,
right? Everything that Sting had given physically, he wasn't able to give that much more. So having this interference made it more of a spectacle and didn't take away from the match at the same time, because you knew at that point that Sting was coming to his final part of the match to elongate it.
it's also because like we had like right there in front of us, we had WWE versus WCW in
Yeah.
in like the factions.
Yeah, and you know, this the one thing they've always said. What would be like NWO against DX? That's kind of a dream match in itself. We got to see a little slither of that, you
Yeah.
know, along those lines.
A sample of it.
Yeah. One other return. Shawn Michaels turned up. He super kicked Sting, which obviously led to then Triple H being armed with his hammer, Sting being armed with his bat. Sting breaks the hammer in half, but Trips can use the bit that he didn't, the actual hammer part. Hits Sting over the head, pins him. 1, 2, 3. Now, before we talk about, and obviously after the match, the pair shook hands. Now, there's quite a few things really right with this match, and I did really enjoy it. But unfortunately, there's a few things that are a little bit wrong with it as well. One of them being that handshake. Now, let's look at this in terms of storyline. Sting is the vigilante, right? He's the icon. He's the dispenser of justice, shall we say? He's
Yeah.
the one to finally
I'm
bring
here to
Triple H
take
down.
you down.
Yeah,
But
and
I
especially with what Triple H says later on in the show, for him to shake hands with this corrupt leader doesn't speak much about Sting's determination to bring the guy down and bring
yeah.
the corrupt establishment down. You know, even after their epic fight, you'd still think Sting sticks to his morals. You know, and it did, and also the fact that Sting lost. A lot of people say, well, it doesn't really matter that much, and it could be Sting's last match and one of the old trademark traditions of pro wrestling is in your final match you lose, you put the other guy over, you carry it on, that's the way you go.
Yeah, but you do that to young people. You don't do it to Triple H.
There you
It's
go.
like,
That's
let's
my
put
response
over
to that.
Triple H.
That's my response to it. Like, who are you really putting over? Are you really helping Triple H? And you look at it back then, you look over the last couple of WrestleManias, yeah, he did lose a bunch of time. He lost twice to Taker, and he lost last year to Daniel Bryan, but you look over the last couple of WrestleManias, he now has a victory against Sting and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a bad WrestleMania record, really. He beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Considering how Lesnar's being booked now, that looks good on Triple H. So, does he really need Sting to lose? But no, I can. It was almost like the assertion of, well, this reteach everyone that WCW lost the war, and that wasn't
Yeah.
really something that needed to be taught. I think yeah, while the situation was like, oh, you bring all these guys in, it was like a battle WCW against WWE. Surely it should have been more about Sting. He was the guy. This was his first match in WWE,
Yeah.
and
I'll tell you what, it must have felt good to be Sting. So it's like,
mm,
oh, so this is what it's like.
apparently, reports are stating that when he saw the stadium, you got to think Sting hasn't even seen a stadium that big in terms of a wrestling thing for since his WCW days. That is a
Yeah,
long time ago. For him to walk into that stadium and be like, "Fuck me," you know, man. I wonder if he walked into that arena and instantly thought, "I could have had a few more times of this. I should have gone back 5 years ago."
yeah,
I should have signed for them all that time ago. But you know what? It was a wonderful time, and as much as I didn't like the finish, the handshake and the storyline of it, and even Sting getting beaten, the event itself was still really fun. It was a really fun match to watch.
oh yeah, I still really enjoyed it.
And the thing that worries me as well is that if Sting is going to have another match against you know who, it kind of doesn't look great on him that he lost, but you know who won. So
Yeah,
we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, it was still great. I will watch this match a few times again, and I think at very least they succeeded along that line. Bellas against AJ Lee and Paige. The match that means absolutely nothing.
yeah.
Let's sink that in. We said this before on the show that it means nothing. Come on, let's just be honest, guys. It
Hang
means
on,
nothing.
hang on. I'm trying to think where we're now standing on our predictions.
Oh, I got
Tag,
Sting right.
yes.
Oh no, I
So
will.
tag, yes. Rumble, Royale, no.
We're the same at the moment. We're the same.
We're neck and neck.
We're
aren't
neck
we?
and neck up to this point. Okay. But the only ones that we've got wrong are Sting and the Rumble, and I'm just going to, a little bit of a thing. I got the rest of the predictions right for the rest of the show.
No.
No. So, the match itself lasted less than your average Raw match, and it was used a little bit as filler, but they got longer than what you would expect a filler match to be. And I think that's a little bit of an insult to call this match filler. It was a good match. It was okay. But the problem is that it had some good action, but it suffers from what we said as all along. This match has absolutely no consequence of its actions. If the Bellas won, things wouldn't change. And I think that's the main thing that is a bit crap about this match is it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean a thing. Who cares who wins? It doesn't matter.
No.
So
It wasn't for the belt. It wasn't for anything. It was just sort of like, yep, we're gonna have a match now.
maybe it'd be a conduit down the line to maybe Bree saying, "Oh, we only lost at Mania because of you," and that brings around the four women.
Bellas versus besties.
That's not going to happen until Mania.
Bellas versus besties.
No. Well, by the way, I just wanted to say, Trish Stratus and Lita, do they hold back the hands of time because they still look as gorgeous as they ever do? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Whatever Lita is drinking in Nicaragua, which I know she's doing a lot of stuff, you might want to bring that back over to me so I can keep some of my youth. Jesus. But yeah, that's the one thing. We did get this right. AJ Lee and Paige did win. And like I said, this may act as a conduit for that title match eventually happening. But it should have happened here on the show. Should have been a bit more prestigious. Should have meant something. It's WrestleMania. Come on,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the one thing I did like, I liked the separation that there was going on. So it was essentially just like Paige getting a lot of beats.
Yeah, they kept trying to throw AJ off the side, didn't they? And they kept knocking her off, knocking her off. It was good. That's good storyline in terms of a match, but yeah, you got storyline in terms of a match. You need a story outside of it to make it worth something. So.
Yeah. The one thing I hate, it's like I hate to admit it. I've been so like reserved. And it's like everyone's just like, "Oh my god, Paige is the best and the fittest." I was like, "Oh no, I'm now one of them." I was like, "Yes."
Yeah. Well, she's a good-looking girl. She knows that. But yeah, I think it.
I'm scared of her mum.
Yeah.
Her mum scares me.
Yeah, there you are. So. Moving on from that, Matt, before you dig your hole any deeper, let's just save you from that. John Cena against Rusev for the United States Championship. And man, did I really like Rusev's entrance.
Fucking Rusev had a great entrance.
Yeah, I think he had the best entrance of the show. I thought his entrance was awesome.
Yeah, I could go as far as that.
The Russian national anthem, the cannons, him coming in as a motherfucking tank. What a way to make an entrance,
That's it. That's how you roll in. Like, Rusev has a tank, your argument's invalid.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, that is as best as it got for Rusev, as we would find out. And I said before, can you smell it? Oh, the push-seeking missile. He had waited too long, and he was going to claim his push. I tell you, he does it every time. The push-seeking missile is like bullseye, in the comics. right? He doesn't fucking miss. He may miss the first time, but it just comes back around and it'll get that push no matter what. And man, did he get it here. So yeah, as you already know, this match was good. It was all right in terms of actual technical match. It was okay. It fit in with the rest of the show. Like I said, the whole show had really good matches on them, enjoyable
That's
matches.
it.
The thing is,
I
I'd
was
say,
really curious though with this. Like, what was with that like second rope rebound stunner?
yeah, that was a bit odd, wasn't it? That looked a bit dodgy.
Like, I know occasionally like Cena like pulls out the stops and has this quite uh, interesting move to pull. I was just like,
When he
but
decides he wants to do a
what
Hurricane
helps?
Rana, and I cringe. Yeah.
You mean the Hurricane Runner where he essentially power bombed
Yeah,
himself?
bombs himself. Yeah. That's every time I look at that. Oh, it's
I'm
classic.
surprised it hasn't come up as our fail of the week yet.
Oh, don't tempt me! Don't tempt me! I'll find that. I'll find that video file. Um, yeah, the thing is, I would say about this match is that, unfortunately, and you guys kind of know where I'm going with this, it wasn't that much more different than their fast lane match, bar the finish.
Yeah,
So, we had already seen this match first of all, and it does give us a rubber match, but this should have been the first match Cena and Rusev had, in my opinion.
yeah,
But as we know, what happens here is that Lana accidentally gets hit by Rusev. Cena then hits the AA and pins Rusev for the first time in his career, and that's his first loss. Cena then wins the United States Champion by beating two rising stars at WrestleMania in 2 years.
yeah.
Not great. I say good for him, bad for everyone else. That's pretty much the
New
statement.
talent?
Mhm.
Pah!
It's a shame. Now, obviously, they're going along this line and they want to really promote the US and the IC title. But I'd argue with what happened at the end of the show. Do you really need to be doing that now? As
Yeah.
much as they were now.
So it's that whole sort of like, oh, if Lesnar sticks around, then we can just keep using these guys, what main eventers, like holding titles.
Yeah.
But what's good? Why now?
Well, like I don't have that much of an issue. Um, I have an issue with him getting the win. Because
Yeah.
this big moment could have been given to someone else. But that's the bottom line with it there. And I don't have an issue.
If only he believed.
Like, let's face it, right? As much as we dislike this, Cena having the US title does give it kind of, because the fact it's on him, he's got the belt. That's the
Yeah.
biggest champion the US title has had in a while. Yeah, let's just be honest. So maybe he can give us some stellar matches and hopefully build up this belt back up to something worthwhile. That is the hope. I do hope that happens. But we had said everyone knows our thoughts on this before, and the fact that Cena has beaten two rising stars in 2 years, that doesn't sit well with me. Not really at all. But we'll see. We accepted it now. I got this right. You got this one wrong. You said Rusev would win, and
Yeah.
I smelled it. That push-seeking missile. He doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. Then we go to a very lengthy segment that lasted the bones of about 30 minutes. And essentially, it starts off with Stephanie and Triple H announcing the attendance for the show.
Yep.
As we said, close to about 77,000, which is pretty damn cool. They want to get over 100,000 in Dallas next year, so that should
Yeah.
be interesting. But the thing is, right? Excuse me. Um, so they're talking. They're digging on the crowd. Digging on the people is probably a better way to say it. And this obviously brings out the people's champion, The Rock, which
Oh, it was so good.
it was a bit of a shock considering that he was in Saturday Night Live the night before, so he had to fly all the way. So, but it's not the first time Rock's done this, so
Yeah.
but it's still awesome. Still
Turned
awesome.
up out of nowhere. I mean, the fact that we had like it was a good mania for just surprise moments because it's just like obviously we had DX and NWO, just like oh
Yeah, there was an extra level that the event went to time and time again, and it was enjoyable that
yeah
it got there. It had a few swerve balls for us, shall we say? Not Rusev swerve balls, but good ones. Um, but they so what ends up happening here is that there's there's a bit of a back and forth between Rock and Triple H and Steph. And Steph kind of calls him out, says, "Well, you can run all your mouth all you like, but you're not going to hit a woman, and I'm telling you to get the hell out of my ring." And this brings so he goes outside, doesn't really leave.
well who's this who's this sat ringside?
Let's find a woman who gets paid truckloads of cash to beat up other women. which happens to be Rowdy Ronda Rousey,
That's
who
it.
is on
It's
the
like,
front row.
where is she? Someone who beats women for a living.
Yeah,
Someone who I may have been in a recent film with for
yeah.
box office.
Funny that, isn't it? Such a
Oh,
coincidence, these things.
someone who's been at WWE events before, prominently as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Ronda! Hello!
Jump into the ring. Stephanie tells her, well, you need to get out of the ring because it's my ring. Ronda replies with,
Any ring that I'm in is my ring. I
that was
loved
a cool
it.
line. That was a cool line. The thing there was stuff to really like with this segment. But if you had condensed everything that happened in this segment, it is a 30-minute segment, and there was huge portions of them just looking at each other, looking at the crowd, which is fine if the crowd were at that point really into it, but they were waiting for them to speak, waiting for them to
Yeah.
do stuff. And there was a part here
Oh, come
where
on, I swear there was that because like Steph at one point was just like, yes, yes, he's here. We're happy to see him. Can we please move on with the segment?
and there was like another 5 minutes of Rock just looking at the crowd, which I get it. It's a big moment, but come on, like I was there watching, like, okay, I get it, awesome moment. What's next? Okay, show me. I'm not even an impatient guy, but it just seemed like it was going on too long.
Yeah.
But it ends anyway with Rousey basically judo flipping Triple H, who sells it like he just got shot. He's just bumping all over
He's
the
been
place.
taking bump classes from HBK.
Yeah, from Rollins no less. He's been bouncing all over the place. And then you think, okay, she's got Steph all to herself. She's gonna annihilate, or as The Rock says, she's gonna do jump rope with Stephanie's fallopian tubes, which
I loved it.
and all she ends up doing is kind of trapping her arm a little bit and then kind of pushing her out of the ring. It was a very
Yeah.
tame finish, a very lame finish, in my opinion, to what Rousey could have done. And it's not so much, oh, well, Stephanie can't take a throw. Ronda Rousey's the best women's fighter in the world. If you tell her to peel it back a bit, that's what she's going to do. It wouldn't have been that hard. I just think that Steph
Yeah, I'm
could have at
pretty
least
sure she
taken
could
a
have done
bump.
it.
Steph could have taken a bump, even if it was just a hit. I just thought that, oh, I've got your arm trapped, and then I just gently push you out of the ring, which is a little bit odd, to me. I
Yeah.
didn't really like it, but. And then The Rock's kind of doing this two thing as in 2v2. That's a 2v2 I'd watch, Rousey.
Yeah.
But I very much doubt that Dana White is going to let WWE get away with two potential stars, especially Rousey, who, in my opinion, and this is very controversially, is a bigger star in UFC than Brock Lesnar was. But come on, people get crazy about that. I just think Rousey's huge for them, so I don't know. Rousey's the architect of her own. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. She's
Yeah.
she's the moneymaker. So.
What I loved is that Rousey was in a Vegeta top, and I was like, she's a nerd. She's a nerd. I love it.
The awesome level is over 9,000. Yeah, it was. She's. I love Ronda Rousey. She's awesome, and I can't wait actually to see in the movie they do. They have like a gown fight between her and Michelle Rodriguez. That should be
Yeah.
quite interesting. I do like that. So, but yeah, it was a cool moment, a memorable moment. It was just times with this segment, I was just like, come on, okay, fair enough, I get it. Let's do this, sort of thing. And I do like The Rock. He's got great presence, but there's just times that, especially in this, where he was just looking at the crowd just too long. It was like minutes went by without him saying anything. I was like, come on, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I get annoyed when they do tireless exposition. When they're talking, doing nothing is kind of like, oh, okay, not that much better, but still. Undertaker against Bray Wyatt. Now, we've got interesting things to talk about this particular match.
Yeah.
So Taker does indeed show up to WrestleMania. Wyatt, apparently there was rumours of him having a sprained ankle before the start of the show. I tell you what, he didn't show it at all throughout this entire match. So I don't know how.
He carried himself well, if that was the case.
Either he healed well, or that there wasn't much legitimacy to said claims along those lines. But Wyatt had a pretty awesome Scarecrow-themed zombie-style entrance where he's got all these scarecrows following him, and they're all making jolts and all this in different directions and stuff like that. So
creepy looking.
Yeah, very creepy looking, very good. Now, Matt got very excited because Taker initially looked very, very good at the start of this match. But however, it was almost like a light switch went off and Taker started looking almost like last year again. And it wasn't that good. This match
started really, really well, and then Droopy Taker turned up. So,
yeah,
oh no.
It became apparent as the match progressed. I just don't think the guy's got that much left. And would you blame him? Jesus Christ, he's earned his rest. Maybe he should have
To
retired
go in
last
the
year.
phrase, let him rest in
Let him rest
peace.
in peace. Jesus, yeah, he looks like he needs it. But like, yeah, the match itself I didn't think was that much better than last year. Now,
No.
it's just because it came to a point where it just didn't look like Taker had that much left. Wyatt was kind of dictating the course of the match, which you could say what Triple H was doing earlier on, but at least then they had the NWO and DX stuff to bump it up and get it along those lines. It just looked like large portions of this that Taker just wasn't involved. He just wasn't there. He wasn't
Yeah.
ready. But he does end up beating Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt now has two big profile losses at WrestleMania back to back.
The worst part is, I knew the moment he did the throat cut, I was like, that's it.
That's it. It's done. And your prediction is wrong, and my prediction is right.
Shut up! I didn't have a good night,
Mm-mm-mm.
okay?
I had a very good night. I had a very good night. But yes, he does beat Wyatt. Wyatt does kick out the tombstone once, but the second one puts him away. And I have no clue why they went for this, to be honest. Wyatt now is he looks like a guy who's all talk and no action, just cannot beat a fucking thing. And that's really bad, you know. And some people argued that maybe having Wyatt beat Taker would maybe not make the Lesnar breaking the streak seem as good, you know. But I'd argue that, come on, you've got to give this to Wyatt. The guy needs something at this point. Give him a bone, Jesus, because he deserves it. But no, Taker beats him, and Wyatt ends up looking like a scrub, unfortunately. So that's the way it ends. His record is now 22-1, and like I said, I don't know if they're going to do Sting and Taker next year, but if they want to fill out that stadium, then they probably should book that. But like I said, with Taker winning this match and Sting losing his, it's a little bit like, man, Sting just comes out looking at this like nothing really. So it's a little bit of a shame. This brings us to our main event of the evening. Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns. Now, man, we have talked ourselves to death about this particular match, almost for what it seems like 2 months since he won the Rumble. So, actually seeing this in action was interesting. In fact, that Lesnar re-signing was also quite interesting. That we said before on the show that it brought a different dimension to this match. It was far more likely that Lesnar would win, but we still didn't choose against that,
Yeah.
So, let's go into this, shall we? Let's break this match down, because this was a very interesting match. Roman Reigns, when he came in, he was booed to high heaven, as we had expected. Lesnar was treated like a babyface, which was expected.
Yeah.
And he proceeded, Lesnar, then, to give the fans essentially what they wanted, which was a prison beating of Roman Reigns.
Yes.
Suplex City, I think, was trending.
Suplex City, bitch.
Yeah, it was quite the beating that Lesnar gave, on par, I'd say, with Cena's, except for the fact that every now and then Reigns would just keep smiling and almost asking him to get hit more, and it really felt as if like Brock was just taking this kid to town when he took off his gloves and was like, okay, all right, let's slap this kid around a bit.
It definitely was the gloves are off, let's go.
Yeah, it was. It almost felt like it. Okay, this is going up another level now. So, now Brock, he dishes out a lot of damage to Reigns, but then Reigns manages to rally, hits 3 Superman punches, 2 spears, but Brock still kicks out. Reigns cannot beat him. And just as it looks like Reigns is going for another one, Brock manages to rally and F5s him. This leaves both men knocked out. Both men on the floor, beaten, bloody and bruised. And
blood! There was blood!
There was blood, yeah, there was. Which I was quite shocked at. It seemed planned. That was that. To me,
I'm not sure, though, because he split pretty instantly on that pole.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed to me like that was intended. I don't know. Obviously, I could be wrong because WWE is so against it now. But
yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But yes, both men down, and this leads to Mr. Money in the Bank to cash in his briefcase at the grandest stage of them all, and the fans were going apeshit, and rightly so.
I was going apeshit.
Yeah, and as soon as he cashed in, I knew, and as soon as it became a triple threat match, which wasn't what we predicted, right? I predicted that Reigns would beat
after
Lesnar.
the win,
yeah, and then afterwards. But still, I did predict that Rollins would leave the arena with the belt, and at least that was true. As soon as it was made a triple threat match, I knew where this was ending. I knew exactly where this was ending. I was
Yeah.
like, Lesnar's not getting pinned. Reigns will take the pin. Rollins is walking out with that belt, which is exactly what happened. It ended up that Lesnar had Rollins up for the F5, but then he gets speared by Reigns, who sends him out of the ring. And as Reigns is getting up, from the prison beating he'd received earlier on in the match, gets curb stomped, and then Rollins seizes the moment, becomes our new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And he grabbed that belt and fucking ramped up the ramp. He was not going to stick around to see if Brock Lesnar was going to get back up and see what was going on there. And man, it was his moment. And he looked like a little kid that looked like his dreams had just come true. And I applaud him for achieving his dreams. That was an awesome moment. And us expecting it,
Proper edge of the seat then.
yes. Like us expecting it didn't take anything away from the match. Would
Yeah.
you agree?
No.
No, it was still.
Just.
You enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. It ended the show in the right way, right? And it caps off what is an impressive year for Seth Rollins. This time last year, he was still part of the Shield. Seems to forget that. He went from being as what we thought was going to be the forgotten member of the Shield into the rightful world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one hell of a year for the guy. Dick picks aside, he's managed to overcome that, and good on him because he deserves it. He's our superstar of the year, and he's proved again why WWE puts stock in him because he's worth it. He really is. And yeah, it was an awesome finish. Look at the other finishes they could have done. They could have Lesnar win clean, but then you're thinking, oh, yeah, well, that's cool because everyone wants to see Lesnar, destroy Reigns. It's a little bit, oh, okay, that's kind of like the whole
I
Destiny
kind
thing
of, I
shut
do
down.
feel terrible though,
Go on.
because I was just sort of like, I'm liking this.
Well, the prison beating.
I'm
Yeah.
loving the prison beating. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think a lot of people were enjoying it. I was enjoying it, so that's okay. I do like Brock Lesnar destroying people. I don't know why. It's quite fun. It's
Yeah.
quite fun to watch. But yeah, or you can have the other finish where Reigns wins, ends it as probably one of the most awkward WrestleMania ends in history, where everyone's booing him, like Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Or you could end it with everyone cheering, going mental over the unpredictable end. Well, obviously it was predictable because we predicted it, but unpredictable ending of Rollins cashing in, making everything high octane for the last couple of minutes of the show, and walking out with the belt. And he's done a few. He did at least one media appearance on the Today Show with the belt. And tell you what, the guy looks like $1 million.
Oh, he would have been on that this morning show, wouldn't he? Because they
Yeah.
were like,
Whoever wins will
the
be
next
on there.
champ, like whoever wins will be there.
Yeah,
It's
Seth
like,
Rollins won.
oh.
Yeah. Now this obviously leads into now you can have that Roman Reigns may get another title shot even though he doesn't. Technically, he's got no right to, right?
Yeah.
Or you could have you could have Brock getting pissed off afterwards, but taking his aggression out on the Authority, which is why I think the real money is there.
Yeah.
But I mean the whole word about it is that they're going to have Rock against Brock at the next WrestleMania, but there's a lot of time to build that up. You don't
Yeah.
have to have that now. What I'm saying now is that SummerSlam should be the match that Lesnar destroys the Authority for good, and it ends. And then you can build up 6 months then, Rock against Brock if you want to. But yeah, it's awesome. And now you've obviously got Rollins here. He's going to wrestle every night with that big belt around his shoulder, and like I said, he deserves it. He really does.
That's it.
He is a worthy champion, and I'm very glad. They seem like my predictions are coming true because I said before that I believed that Rollins would be champion before Reigns, and it didn't seem like it was going to be that way. But then everything just kind of fell into place, and yes, he is champion before Roman Reigns. He's the
That's
first
it.
first world champion to come out of NXT as well.
Yes.
Isn't that something, right?
That's
And
true, yeah.
that should show everyone out there that NXT is a place. Now they've made it. Now it's legit. Now, if you want to watch NXT, you could have future world champions on there because you've got one. It legitimizes it. It's like one of the things I hated about Tough Enough is that the guy didn't really get anywhere. At least for NXT, when they're talking about this is the future of the WWE, when you've got Seth Rollins as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but he started at NXT, that
Yeah.
makes it legit. That claim is legitimate.
That's it. It's like the carried story sort of thing. It's just like, we're talking about like 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, it's not that long ago, really, And he's done really well for himself, and
Yeah.
he does deserve it. And it was a great moment, a memorable moment. I've gone back and watched it 2-3 times since then. It was really fun to be a part of, and yeah, and it keeps the only person that doesn't come out looking strong after this is
It's
Roman Reigns.
I don't know. I think Reigns comes out looking pretty good.
He took a
He
beating, well, I
got
guess.
pinned for it. Like he took that beating and he didn't give up. He took more of a beating than Undertaker.
He took more of a beating than Cena at SummerSlam, I'd argue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nearly.
So yeah, but the one thing I'm getting at here is that Lesnar didn't take the fall, so he's still the beast. You could say
Yeah,
technically he was just screwed out. He wasn't really pinned, and fuck it, he was punched 3 times in the head, speared twice, and still didn't fucking get
yeah, give
pinned.
up.
You know, he's still this uncomparable, unbeatable guy who just lost his belt in a awkward situation. So that's fine with him. And like I said, the big money is with Lesnar now to be a babyface, attack the authority. That's the next step for him, and we'll see where it goes from there. So that is our review for WrestleMania. All in all, I thought it was an excellent show. I thought it was packed with memorable
For the amount of
moments.
hype, for like we were worried about the build up. We're just like, oh, I don't know what's gonna. That's like that was amazing.
Yeah. Now,
We forgot one thing though:
go on.
the massive Hall of Famer backstage moment.
Oh, what with the Daniel Bryan one? Yeah.
Daniel Bryan. It
The
was
odd
like,
thing,
oh,
the odd thing about that
oh,
was like,
oh, it's so good. Then just like Ron Simmons walks in.
he's our guy. He's our guy right there.
The
We fucking
moment
love
Ron Simmons walks in, I was like, I'm getting ready to giggle.
Yeah, I
Like a
fucking love
little,
Ron Simmons.
I'm already giggling like a child, and he's just looking around. He hasn't even said a word, and already I'm laughing.
Oh, Ron, we love you, Ron. I'd love to interview Ron. I really would. But
Damn.
and all he has to say throughout the whole thing is just "damn" over and over again.
Yeah,
Sold, best interview of all time. But yeah, it's good that you brought it up because I once compared the build up to this event to be very like WrestleMania 29, and WrestleMania 21 was a very forgettable WrestleMania.
yeah,
This, I cannot say that. It was a memorable WrestleMania, and it was one that people are gonna want to go back and watch. People won't want to go back and watch 29. So let's stack this up. WrestleMania 30 was excellent. I think this stands up next to WrestleMania 30. I really do.
yeah.
Yeah. Now some people say, "Oh, the old Daniel Bryan thing," you know. Because the whole story that was fantastic, and finally getting that payoff for Daniel Bryan. But I thought that from top to bottom, this show was very, very good and
Yeah.
very entertaining. Had the first Sting match with the whole NWO and DX involvement. You had the entrances, which I thought were really cool. The final match had a really good resolution.
I was expecting more from Taker. I was like, surely
Yeah.
Taker's gonna get something fancy.
No,
No?
he had a very
Oh,
ordinary entrance. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, oh, it's Taker.
But it's it reeks of him phoning it in. It's just Vince going, "Oh, have you got another menu in you? Big paycheck." And he comes in,
You know,
doesn't
we
really.
say like, oh, 29 was really bad and forgettable and things like that, but I think 29 like was such a good entrance.
Yeah, the entrance was good, but the show was shit. That's the problem with
Yeah,
it. See, it wasn't even bad. The show, it was boring. It committed the ultimate sin of being boring, apart from
yeah,
the odd match, as in Taker against Punk. But um, I just thought this event had way more memorable moments
yeah.
than a lot of WrestleManias, and I think that's really good.
Like the greatest RKO of like the modern era, so to speak. I think that's probably his best one since RKOing Evan Bourne.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd say with that because people didn't see it coming. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was out of nowhere. I know all that lot, but it was good. And the way that they ran off I mean, the only person you could really do that to is Rollins because he's just that athletic. He
yeah.
could pull it off. But yeah, it was good. But like I said, there was memorable moments packed all over the show. There was not a match. I think the match that didn't had the least to it, funny enough, was Wyatt and Taker.
The
People only
slowest
really
match, yeah.
yeah. The rest of it was fine. I thought it was, and like I said,
That's
the
it.
Taker match itself was okay. It just showed more and more. I felt
It just started so well, and it's like, oh no,
this was the first
no,
match.
it's happening again.
This is the first
Screw.
match, and I hate to say this, it's the first match that I felt sorry for the Undertaker. I should not feel sad for the Undertaker. Yeah,
Yeah,
I felt sorry. I feel sad for him. It was like, just finish it. Just be done with it, guy. Dude, run off into the sunset. You don't need to come back for this.
that's
Just
it.
don't
We're
do
not
it.
going to judge you.
Yeah. You've done your time. You're a legend. We'll always love you, but come on. I can tell. Just leave it. Just
Is it?
leave it. You don't have to.
It's almost hitting that point now where it's like you're actually tarnishing the memory of you.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but still. He's not going to at least do it worse than Ric Flair, who has the beautiful send off, then starts wrestling in TNA. But still. Anyway. So overall, the show, like I said, I think it stands up with WrestleMania 30. I thought it was excellent. You'll be well out of your mind if you're going to skip this event because it was awesome. There's a lot of stuff. Even if you know the finishes of the matches, Go watch it because it's awesome to watch, and it's a great atmosphere. The fans are into it, and there's lots of memorable moments that you
Now
can
I
enjoy.
really want to go to Mania.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you what, the more I watch, the more I watch, especially like this year, I was like, I really want to go to WrestleMania.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll. I was about to say, I was about to be just really dickish and go, well, you know what? If they do one in the UK, we'll definitely go. Even though I know that's
Ha!
not happening.
Ha
So
ha!
yeah,
Ha ha ha! You're funny.
yeah, I am very funny. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about the event anyway? And
No,
we'll
loved
wrap
it.
up there. You want to go to sleep, and so do I. So, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the show. I'm very glad that myself and Matt were at least animated for this and not just asleep.
Was
It
really
was a match. No,
pin.
we were okay. So yeah, we hope you guys did enjoy.
Lana's shoe for US champion.
Lana's shoe. She's got
You
some nice
sounded,
feet.
you made that sound a lot more sordid than it had to be.
Shoes. No. Let's end that before we go down another shameless pay-per-view block. So yeah, if you did enjoy this Let's Talk More Wrestling episode, our WrestleMania 31 review, then as always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. That way you can catch our regular episodes each Sunday. And we will answer any and all fan questions if they're left in the comments section below. If you have any if you want to follow us on Twitter as well, it's at TalkWrestlePod. That's our Twitter handle. Matt was tweeting throughout loads of the event last night, so you could have caught all that if you were following his Twitter. Our Twitter, it's just he's the one who deals with
That's
it
Twitter.
on the Twitter. I can't do that as good as Jericho.
Jericho, no.
And as always, we will be back to review the Raw after WrestleMania, which will be obviously a humdinger of a show. Haven't said that in a while, actually, not properly. WrestleMania 31 was a humdinger of a pay-per-view. There you go. You've got it. Got it there. But apart from that, we hope you have a great week. And like I said, we do hope you did enjoy the show. And apart from that, we will catch you all next time on Sunday.
See you. We'll catch you soon.
Bye-bye.